Okay, hi, welcome to Logarithms Part 2. This time we're going to be looking at equations and trying to manipulate algebra that has logarithms within it. First of all, log x. I want you to think of it a bit like root x or maybe sine x. It's just a value that we don't know, and in that case we can treat it like any other variable, even just x. And so when we see it in an expression, maybe like this one here, we can just treat it as 3 lots of a number we don't know, plus 4 lots of that same number we don't know. So here we can just say, well, this is 7 lots of some number, log x, that we don't know. And so all of the ways that you would normally manipulate algebra, you can do the same with manipulating log x, but just make sure that you treat log x as its own entity. That thing there is a number. We can't really change it much yet. We'll look into that in the future. So here are some equations. The ones on the left you can probably already do. The ones on the right are to do with the new logarithms. Pause the video and have a go at solving them. The one on the left links with the one on the right. Okay, see what you can do. So here are the answers. You know that to solve this one, we simply want to use the inverse function, square both sides. Okay, yeah, I don't know how to write that very well, sorry. Y squared root x squared. So root x squared, we know is their inverse functions. That's going to give us x, and over here we're just going to have y squared. So we're going to do the same over here. What is the inverse function of ln x? It's raising everything to the power of e. Okay, because so here we have raise both sides to the power e. Okay, and we're going to get, no, that's just wrong. What I mean is say raise e to each side. Sorry for getting that confused. So here, e to the ln x. Now, e and ln x are inverse functions. They're essentially going to cancel. I'll just leave this with x. So we get x equals e to the power of y, and that's our answer. Much like this one. There is another way that you could do that. An alternative way to write this would be say, well, what does the logarithm mean? What's its definition? And you might find this easier. We know that ln x means the value that we raise e to get y. Okay, no, I lie. What value do we raise e to get x? And that is y. And in the same way, in a different way, we end up with the same answer. Okay, so you can either use the definition of what a logarithm is or inverse functions to be able to rearrange the equations. Let's do the same for these two down here. We're going to subtract 7 from both sides. Before we can get rid of this square root, we're going to have to get rid of the 2 and the 7, because we can't just square everything in a minute. It would make a real mess. So first of all, let's subtract 7 from both sides. Then let's divide everything by 2. And now we can square everything to get rid of the square root. So we're going to get x minus 4 equals y minus 7 over 2 all squared. And finally finish it off with x equals y minus 7 over 2 squared plus 4. So we're trying to get rid of the things around the square root before we can get rid of the square root. So we've got to do the same over here when we're dealing with this logarithm. First of all, let's subtract 2, so y minus 2, 3 ln 2x minus 1. And then let's divide by 3. So we're going to get ln of 2x minus 1 equals 1 minus 2 over 3. Now we want to use our inverse functions, or as I said, you might want to use the definition approach. So here we're going to get 2x minus 1 equals e to the power of y minus 2 over 3. And it can get a bit untidy, don't worry too much. And now we're going to add 1 and divide by x. So we're going to get the answer, add 1 and divide by 2. So we're going to get e to the power of y minus 2 over 3 plus 1 all divided by 2. And there we have rearranged the equation so that it's in terms of x. There's a few warnings that we need to be careful of. Log x all squared is not the same as log of x squared. Similarly, log of x plus y is not the same as log x plus log y. These are different things. And then down here again, it's basically the same rule as before, but log of 2x is not the same as 2 logs of log x. We don't have the rules yet to be able to manipulate these, okay, and these aren't the correct rules. So if we have something like this, we have to solve it in a different way. We can't just move the 2. We have to get rid of the logarithm first. Let's use inverse functions here. So raise e to both sides. So we're going to have e ln of 2x equals e to the 7. Now, e to the power of ln, so this is what power do I have to raise e to get 2x? Well, that means here we're raising e to that power, so we're just going to get 2x, or you can think about just these are inverse functions, as I said, and then here this doesn't change, and now we can divide by 2 to get x equals a half e to the 7. Now, that is the correct answer. That is the fully correct, accurate answer. You could type it into a calculator to get a decimal equivalent or approximation. We don't need to. Let's have a look at this one. This one's a bit harder. This is going to require us to do a bit of algebraic manipulation at the same time. So, first of all, how on earth are we going to get anywhere like this? Have a look. Like, is there anything similar to what you've seen before? Well, hopefully you'll notice that this is just some number squared plus 2 lots of some number plus 1. We've got essentially a disguised quadratic. You've seen these before, maybe not in this way. Let's try and use what we know about quadratics. We could, if we wanted to, rewrite this as y squared plus 2y plus 1. If that makes it easier for you, do it. But we can also just jump straight to factorising this. Hopefully you notice whether in this form or in this form we can factorise this to be ln x plus 1 squared. Okay. Equals 7. So either factorise this and then rewrite it, or just do it in one step. And now we can start rearranging this. So let's write this as ln x plus 2 equals, plus 1 equals plus or minus the square root of 7. And then we're going to have ln x equals plus or minus the square root of 7 minus 1. That's subtracting 1 from both sides. Now here we know, ignore what I was about to say, it's fine, we'll keep going. And then finally, we're going to raise e to the power of both sides. So e ln x e plus or minus root 7 minus 1. So we're going to get x equals e plus or minus root 7 minus 1. And there's our solution. Okay. Have a go at the other questions then in exercise 7A and see what you can do.